move the Township Board of Commissioners meeting to order. If everybody stands for the pledge of allegiance, and then decide.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Walker.
Here.
Commissioner Campbell. Here. Commissioner Walls.
Here.
Commissioner Algieri.
Here.
Commissioner Toma. Here. Commissioner Boyer.
Here.
President Rocco.
Okay, I want to acknowledge we had an executive session meeting on Monday, March 14th, 2022 at 5:30
Hey, Dan, how about pulling the mic up?
Okay.
All of it.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. I would acknowledge an executive session we had on Monday, March 14th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. It was for real estate matters for the township. Next is department reports. John, code enforcement.
I have nothing outside of my written report this time.
Okay. John Meyer, engineering.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items. The Horse Main project, obviously still ongoing. Working, getting out of the ground, doing all the concrete pours. So everything's kind of still working through that. I will have Greg at next month's meeting put on the agenda the change order credit that I spoke about at the last meeting. And then if there's any other change orders that come up, I spoke with Greg and kind of figured out how that protocol is going to be, because they have to be approved by the board before we can submit them to PennVest. So they'll have to be approved at a public meeting. So I'll, next month, if there's any, in addition to the credit, like I said, I'll work through Greg on getting those on the agenda. The Stony Brook slide remediation, I see that it's on the agenda tonight for approval. Once that's awarded, we'll work with contract documents and everything submitted and get that moving. Jacktown Road Bridge, we did submit everything back to PennDOT. We're gonna have a conference call with the property owner who we get an easement from. I think that went well.
I did receive the signed easement.
Perfect. So we'll, you can say we're still at the mercy of PennDOT with that, but I think we're extremely close. So once we get PennDOT approval, we're ready to, we got the easement, we're ready to advertise. So that's actually close. One that's near and dear to your heart, the Happy Hollow CCTV plan, the specs done. I spoke with Greg here 2 seconds before the meeting. I'm gonna just coordinate a bid opening date with him. We're gonna advertise it this week, and hopefully right around next meeting, bids and everything in hand for that. So we'll be able to award that. The garage roof replacement, I did receive the signed documents from Greg. I'll get those over to the contractor, issue a notice of proceed, get that moving. And I'm still waiting for the area-wide demo contract documents back from the contractor. Once I get those, I'll get them over, you guys can sign them when we're done. So that is all I have, unless there are any questions.
I have a question on those demolitions. Once you have those items signed, what's the time frame that we're looking to have that started and potentially completed?
I think it's our spec. I want to say we gave them 60 or 90 days. But it's typically from the time we get the documents back, you sign them, we get them, we have a pre-construction meeting. It's usually a month and a half till they mobilize. So, because it's April, I'm thinking by mid-summer, they should be done.
All right, thanks.
I have a question, John. The Jacktown Road Bridge,
Yes.
how are they going about that? Is that like a pre-form?
Yes, and we're gonna build the new one upstream, adjacent to the existing. That way there won't be any road closures, interruption to traffic. They'll build it, pave the intersection. Once they get it in, they'll demo the old one.
Okay, thank you.
Mansfield Road project, we're over with that, under it for a while.
We completed all the right of ways and sent them over, for signature and, or
There was a bit of a hang up on one of the, so we needed 2 right of ways to complete that project. One of them is not willing to sign at this point due to other issues on his property. So I'll leave it at that for now. That's what's hanging up.
okay.
So we're still in discussion with that.
Okay, what do we have to do? Okay, I don't know, I guess there's no questions that could be asked of that, because that kind of gets into perhaps litigation, is that where we are with that? If we can't get a right way to do that project, where do we go?
Yeah, I mean, if we have to take it, we'll have to take it, but I mean, I think right now, it sounds like we're just in negotiations with the landowner, hopefully we can come to a compromise.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Myra? Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Chief?
Other than my written report, I just wanted to inform the commission that on on March 26th, I was invited to the Anglican Church of Elizabethboro. They hosted an event with about 35 seniors from their church, New Hope Assembly of God, Round Hill Presbyterian. And my purpose of visiting that day was to just educate the senior community a little bit about ID fraud. As many of you are aware from our end of the year reports, we've seen an average between 19, 20, 21, almost a 700% increase in this type of reporting. And it seems to be targeting our senior community. So I met with that group, and I invited them to make the other senior groups in the community, not just in Elizabeth Township, but our neighboring communities aware. And I'll be more than happy to also go speak with some seniors there too. A lot of times we educate here at the township and from the police department on social media. It's not a platform that a lot of our seniors are involved in. So just getting out there, getting an opportunity to meet with them was really a joy. And they hosted a lunch afterwards. I got a chance to have a personal conversation with them about where the township is and where we're going. And one of the things that came out of it was the Anglican Church, and I'll leave a flyer here in the lobby, once a month, because of the economic impact that the entire country is going through right now, they host what they call the Mon Valley Area Diaper Pantry. So the Anglican Church, every month, parents register ahead of time, and they give a free 50 diapers and wipes to parents who properly register through the program. So I want to make the committee aware, the commission aware, and the public that's here today. I think it's a great program. And if they don't get the donations, the preachers from the different churches, they do it out of their own personal funds. So I just want to make the community aware of it. I think it's a great program, and I'll have some information in lobby for people who may be interested in hearing about it. That's all I have. Thanks.
Chief, what's the status on the 3 new vehicles?
Vehicle number 11 was delivered.
Okay.
It's outside. I talked with one of your peers today, and we're gonna take some nice photographs of it and put it out on our.
Is that the truck or the SUV?
The SUV.
The SUV.
The vehicles, I could have them all here tomorrow. The problem is with many things, we're having issues with equipment or cages or radios, just based on the shortage of supply and demand. So I don't wanna have the vehicles delivered here until they're ready to go out on the road. So that's why we're just have one of them delivered.
I was just curious, thanks.
No problem.
Anything else for the chief? Okay, public works call?
Other than the written report I turned in on Friday, I have nothing.
Okay. Chris, I think you might have a question.
Yeah, Paul, 2 things. One, thanks for the cleanup up at the municipal field. Looks good, a lot better. Thank you very much. The other thing is, I emailed you and the governance committee earlier this week, and I wanted to get your public thoughts on the idea of the area where we have had to leave collection at, potentially see if our guys would be able to maybe put a sand/gravel base there, or pave it and fence it with a 6-foot area inside with the vinyl slats in it for privacy. If that would help you with equipment and being able to store things a little bit more safer and cleaner for us. And if you felt that that was something that your guys would be able to achieve.
First, we'd have to see what kind of area we're talking with. Because there'd be setback right on that, John, that fence.
Is it different than the actual building itself right now that's there?
Yeah, sometimes you just have to 35 feet backing from the road and 1 foot from the sideline that way.
How many feet from the road, John?
35,
And 1 foot from the bank.
side, yes.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. Do you think that's something your guys would be able to do, or is that something you put out for bid, or?
It's, we're doing that, we're not doing the other stuff. I mean, it's hard to, it's what you want done.
Okay.
Just take a look, give us your thoughts on that, what you think.
Okay, I'll look at it.
I have a question.
Sure. Oh, Chris had a second question.
Okay, the other thing is, do you think that would be beneficial for you to have an actual space to put stuff?
It would be nice to have an actual space, but I don't think it's gonna be big enough.
Okay.
To back the tracks when they're to dump into a bin, there's not gonna be enough room.
We're talking to store equipment, right?
I'm talking about storing your equipment, not necessarily the rocks and all that
Okay,
stuff.
well, that's-
I'm talking about like what was up there before, you had all your metals up there, maybe some,
Well, everything that we
your
moved,
plastics that we have laying
Yeah.
up along the side of the road up there.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. is
yeah,
what-
that would probably help there.
Okay.
I was figuring it was the, putting stone, the stalk stone and stuff in it. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I'll figure out some measurements and see what we can do.
Oh, where are we at with the old salt shed, as far as redoing that to store equipment in there?
It's time,
Okay.
it's just like I said, right now, we're on fallen timber trying to get that stuff done. Cause I don't know when, they're supposed to pay that sometime this spring. So
I
I'm
heard
trying-
it bad, is what.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get all our storm sewer work done on there, so when they pay it, it's done. There's no, you know, we won't be digging it back up. The water company or gas company probably will, but as usual.
Commissioner Walsh, you had a question?
Yeah, Paul, I have a question about expenditure item number 9.
Before you go to that, Josh, I have one more question about this lot out here. I'll hopefully be very quick. I was told at one point, Paul, that we couldn't build a salt shed out on that property because there's evidently some main gas lines that are,
There's a gas, I'm not sure where they're at, I guess, other.
okay. And off the top of your head, John, I mean, we're just talking about putting either an impervious surface or possibly just a gravel area out there over top of stuff like that. Is that something that could be done, or wise idea, or stay away from it?
Over gas line?
Stay away from
Even
it.
gravel?
See, that may be a problem here with that area out there. I don't know where that gas line is. The other part of that area out there is, you know, this whole building was built on a swamp, and that swamp continues from up there all the way down to Butler's. You can see the cattails. You can see what that area looks like over there. Now, you can overcome that with a lot of gravel, with a lot of riprap and so forth, but it's pretty soft over there, Paul, correct? All right, well, take a look at it.
Any other questions for Paul?
Hi, Josh.
Yeah, so this dump stop pre-mix heater,
Yes,
is that something that, are you requesting that?
yes.
Can you explain what that is?
It's a trailer that you hook behind the truck, take it to the asphalt plant, put 4-ton material in it, and it's heated. It'll keep the material all day. And you need some more information, the gentleman sitting right there with you, everything on it.
Okay.
Commissioner Jerry probably signed on this also. Do you guys hold hot box?
Yeah, the hot box.
Do we currently have one? Are we
No.
replacing one?
No, we don't have one, and the problem we're having with, we take a small truck out, we get 2-ton, we get about 2 hours, and what's left gets thrown away because it's cold.
Just
Can't
left,
deal with it.
I guess just the last question for me on this. If we purchase this, would the idea be that we're gonna pave more roads? Is that?
No, I'm not saying pave more roads, it's just more, we won't be throwing any material away.
Okay.
That's the main thing, as well, not throwing material. And right now, if they didn't use them a certain time frame, if it doesn't stay hot, it's useless, they have to throw it away.
Okay.
So by getting this hot box, they'll be able to extend the amount of time until they have to actually lay that asphalt that day, they can still use it.
And
It's gonna pay for itself.
well, it's saving time and money because we would only have to make one trip to Adamsburg to work all day. Right now, we have to make 2 trips to Adamsburg, that's an hour
So you're saying the hot box holds 4 ton versus 2 ton?
Yeah.
Perry Owens from A&H Equipment, can you add anything to that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I mean, excuse me, it's more than just a hot box, so, you're gonna put some material in there, like Paul mentioned, you're gonna hold that material and utilize everything that's in that box. One addition to it though is in the wintertime, potholes, such, you can use cold patch, but also too, I talked to Paul, right before fall, before the plants close, you can go get some asphalt, chop it up, put it in a corner, and actually utilize that, it'll actually melt it back down, utilize that, and then you can actually go out and hit the pothole one time without using, cold patch. I know cold patch is fairly expensive today, so.
And it doesn't work well.
What's that?
And it doesn't work, cold patch doesn't work as well as you
Correct,
guys, right?
correct, yes, because I mean, he's plowing the road, so once he's coming over top of the cold patch, that plow's gonna rip it right back out, so.
Point.
Any other questions for Paul? Senator.
Thank you. We have a written report, we have a little presentation here, so I'll keep it short and just say that all equity parameters were in compliance with the month. I can address any questions.
Any questions for them? Okay, Solicitor?
I have nothing outside the items we discussed in executive session. Thank you.
And Township
Say
Minister?
that again?
Nothing outside the items we discussed in executive session. Thank you.
Thank you, my report's rather short tonight. I am working on completing a Act 52 grant application to receive funding to demo 11 more blighted properties. I have the list here, I can read it off if you like.
Why don't you real quick?
Okay, I'll read it off. No, that doesn't mean these are approved, this is just an application. This application's due by the end of the month. Here we go, here's all 11. 2121 Douglas Run Road, 536 Boston Hollow Road, 750 Boyd's Hollow Road, 228 Industry Road, 2560 Green Oak Vista Road, 2172 Smithdale Road, 2198 Smithdale Road, 2248 Market Street, 2238 Market Street, 2242 Market Street, and 623 Elizabeth Avenue. So, I'll get that in and keep you posted on the results. We also.
Rick, just as a follow-up on that, I know we talked about getting the clearances. I generally wait and recommend anyway, waiting until we know the number, like the final number that we're gonna do. Yeah, because there's an expense involved in ordering title before the hearing, so usually wait till we know the number. If that's that's how I recommend doing it. I can do them all, but again, you might be losing some money there by doing ones that don't actually get approved. So just a thought.
As long as they're okay on their end with the applications.
Yeah, they should be, but
There is a question, if we had the clearances, I want to know, of course.
That's right.
Current.
yeah, usually we do, like, we'll run the clearances as soon as we get approved for the demos, then I run the clearances, and then they ask me for, afterward, they ask me for a demo clearance letter that says we ran it on these ones, so, just a thought, yeah, okay, no problem.
I mentioned earlier, in the year that we were gonna change our brush pickup, so we used to have a brush and leaf drop off in the parking lot in that same area that Commissioner Tunnel was talking about. We got rid of that because it became, a little bit out of control, the volume was really high, and we suspected there were contractors using it after they had, finished their job to dump their debris off in our site. So, we pulled it back to once a month. We had our first one last Thursday, it went really well. We ran it from noon until 8 o'clock at night, so we're gonna continue that trend. So I'm gonna post on the website, a schedule for the rest of the year, just so all the residents know when they can drop off their organic debris. This upcoming Saturday, April 9th, we have an Easter parade, so us administratively decided to keep it in the same format as last year instead of having the Easter egg hunt. Mainly because we didn't really have the man and woman power to stuff how many eggs? 13,000 eggs. Little eggs, it's, you know, just quick one together, put a little piece of chocolate in there. So it went so well last year, because we were very excited, parents were very excited. We hand out candy bags, there's still opportunities to take photos with the Easter Bunny. So we stuck with the same format, see how it goes.
What time does that begin?
That starts at 11 o'clock on April 9th at the middle school. And my last, are you gonna talk about VW meters? I think you want to.
Briefly.
Okay. My last thing is we did complete the liquid fuels audit successfully, so those funds are on their way. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next is committee reports. We had a budget and finance meeting this month. The whole purpose was strictly to go through the bill warrants line by line, looking to see where we can possibly save money. We're gonna look at our Comcast bills, we're gonna look at the utility bills, see what we possibly combine or renegotiate rates on. So basically, just look at each line and just figure out where we can possibly save money for the township. Comments or anything else you want to add from that meeting?
I do not.
Okay, that's pretty much what we handled, so, yeah. Second is, code enforcement. We had a meeting this month. The whole purpose was to look at some of our current ordinances, about possibly redoing them or expanding on them. Looking at the noise ordinance, looking at the ordinance for, on-street parking, and, what's the other one? The nuisance. Yeah, the nuisance ordinance. So that was pretty much it for that meeting. Any questions on either of those?
How is that nuisance ordinance coming?
Matt's working on that.
Yeah, I think, I actually wanted to address that tonight at this meeting, so if the commissioners are okay, I'd like to put together a formal draft for you guys to review, and take a look at. That way we can start the advertisement process, maybe get something in place by this summer. If everyone's okay with that, and maybe consensus to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Parks and Recreation.
We had a Parks and Recreation meeting to discuss several things. I'm gonna pass it along to Chris now. One of the things that we have been talking about is how to improve Mount Vernon site. And so Chris, why don't you go ahead and
So on the Mount Vernon site, we talked briefly about, we had KLH out there, about a month ago. They did, we asked them for a request for price, and it's just an estimate. It wasn't with, engineering specs or anything like that, but, they came back with the price, and you guys all have that, in your email, I believe the original price was, with contingencies and everything like that, was for $110,000 before it went out to bid or anything like that. What that would entail would be 2 pickleball courts, 2 basketball courts that could also be used for deck hockey potentially, and multiple fences around the pickleball, and then also fencing around the whole site itself. Also painting lines and basketball hoops and netting for the pickleball. So, at this point, we're kind of like at a crossroads where do we want to continue to move forward to seek engineering bids and see where we stand and see if we want to go forward with this, or, you know, we're kind of stuck in as a committee on the next step.
And my question, that would be, that's privately owned, isn't it? Is
That
that
is-
owned by the township?
So that is not, well, technically, yes, it is privately owned. It's owned by a nonprofit organization that's been around since 1965. The park has been open to the public for free. People walk their dogs up there, there's a playground up there, they play up there. Currently, there is a usable basketball court that's there that they use, but the other 2 courts aren't usable per se. I can speak as a commissioner, and I also serve on that board as well as vice president. I can say that, with our meetings as EFYA, they would be definitely, just like they do now, with all the other things, that would be open to the public. We can work with the solicitor to make sure that this facility would definitely be open to the public for use. You know, we could put some sort of legal terms to it. Well, just like we do with the ball
Yeah,
fields.
Chris actually called me, we had a discussion about this, because I had sort of the same general concerns, 10,000 foot level. We certainly don't want to get involved in improving a garage area, that then we do the improvements, and then they say, oh, well, thanks, you know, now everybody's off. So obviously, we would have to have the proper, legal agreements in place, yeah, to make sure that it remains a public, you know, and operated, or available entity, so.
Also too, with them, that property, they have to stay open to the public as part of their agreements with, the taxes. You know, that property is, you know, tax exempted. Part of that is we provide a service to the community, and that, takes the burden, financial burden off of Elizabeth Township. So, you know, it's, you know, bringing that up too as well, so. But basically where we're at is we've got that thing, we've got the estimated price, but we wanna, if we wanna move forward, I believe KLH said that it would rough estimate to actually get engineering specs of exactly what is needed. There would be a potential, I believe the estimate would be about $5,000 is what was said would need to be committed to that, to actually get, okay, this is how many feet of fence, this is how high it is, this is how much yards of material you need for paving or surfacing, that kind of stuff. And then it would go out to bid. I would assume, based off of the high level that was brought in, the 110 plus contingency, the bid would come in a lot lower than that, in my personal opinion. I thought the bid was a little, or the cost was probably a little low.
What would we need to do if we want to move forward with it? Present vote or?
I think you would actually have to have a regular, motion and a vote to approve, kit for
Next month's
the
agenda.
engineer to go ahead, yeah, move forward with the specs, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else for Parks and Recreation?
Well, thank you, Chairman Dan. I just wanted Chris to bring that up to get an idea of how this board felt about moving forward to spend the money on the engineering specs, and so thank you for that. I think we'll move forward with that then. Little minor thing was, we were sort of talking about replacing some of the fences down at Boston Field that have become somewhat jagged at the bottoms from people pounding softball into them. We're gonna back off on that right now. We're gonna wait till the force main project's done. In talking to a couple of people, that there's a lot of redesign that needs to be done down there with where the fences are currently located, and it doesn't seem to make any sense to spend money on fencing right now and have to tear it down again. So, that's the other thing we talked about. Dennis, you wanna add anything that you can think of on Parks and Rec?
I think the biggest thing was to wait till they're done with the force main down there. I know we all on the rec board think it's nice when you come in the summertime and you come across the bridge and you see that filled it up and you see people there. Brings a little different air to the township, you know. Like, hey, this is pretty neat. So once they're done with the force main, we can step back and take a look at the fences, take a look at the field. And instead of putting any little bit of money on now, let's wait and see if we can't make something at the end that's really something to see.
How's the trash issue been done?
Actually, really, really good. We had a meeting with all of the various commissioners about 4 weeks ago. Chief, Craig, myself, and all the commissioners, and everybody's been very compliant. I was down there again this morning, and everything's good, looking good. Pretty pleased, actually. Lights down there, I'm gonna move forward with having some guesstimates on what it's gonna take to replace those fixtures with the sodium vapor fixtures with LEDs. We'll see if we're within that parameter of what budget and finance thought we could spend on that. I have no idea. Those sodium vapors were all replaced last year, so all the lights are all currently working, which is a good thing. That's it for Parks and Rec.
I did have one statement real quick, if I could. I just wanted the public to acknowledge, Olympus Energy, they donated $3,000 to our local sportsman, club association down in, off of Fallen Timber. They built a youth camp out there. They've been working on it for a couple of years now. They sunk in their own money, raised money, to put a pavilion and a camp area for the kids in the area. And Olympus just donated $3,000 to the sportsmen to be able to provide camping opportunities for the scouts down there. And, I just wanted to make sure that that was, publicly stated, that we want to thank, Olympus, and we also want to thank the Sportsman Association for all that they do to provide that camp down there for our kids in the community.
Anything else? Thank you. Okay, personnel?
Personnel, we have one personnel issue that was, excuse me, investigated. It's still in process. And also, I'd like the chief to elaborate a little bit on what's going on with the, new officers and the testing procedures and what's gonna happen here in the next couple months.
Sure. Last month, after advertising in the Trib, on Indeed, and I believe the Mon Valley Independent, we ended up with 17 applicants 4 Saturdays ago, when we were supposed to have our physical fitness test. We had, woke up in the morning, it was like 73 degrees the day before, and it was 6 to 8 inches of snow on the ground at the high school. So Sergeant Simba and Officer Patterson, as they always are, super professionals. They went up there about 4 hours before, measured out the gymnasium, and we ran our physical fitness battery. We had 13 people show up. Just says a lot about their character, is that they really are looking for a career with Elizabeth Township Police. Of the 13 that showed up, 9 made it to the next stage, were invited into the cafeteria where they took the written exam. Those were scored privately, and that list is still confidential. And we begin now on the 16th of this month. We'll be inviting those 9 candidates in no particular order to this building for a final stage oral board. The oral board will be graded that day by the Civil Service Commission after the oral board takes place, and then veterans' points will be assessed as per civil service requirements. And then an active list will be presented to the commission board, and we'll have discussions about potential hiring of candidates who successfully are appointed on our list. So it's an exciting time to be Elizabeth Township Police. It's exciting to potentially grow the police department. As many of you know, it's not a typical profession where you can just hire somebody today and then tomorrow they just go out and drive around in a police car by themselves, keep order in the community. It's about 6 to 8 months before a person's road ready to be on their own, alone, as a person on the shift. So it's very exciting, but we have to pre-plan ahead of time because law enforcement's a tough career, and when people get ready to retire, they sometimes just say, hey, I'm leaving next week. And it provides us challenges with personnel. And, you know, our goal is always to provide the best law enforcement protection for our community. So we want to prepare ahead of time, as we know some of our police team is looking to possibly move into the retirement stage.
It was a pleasure being there at the high school to watch the teamwork. Even though it was an individual basis, but there was a lot of teamwork involved to help other officers get through certain events. So it was very rewarding to watch that day. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
That's all I have for personnel.
Public safety and police?
Public safety, Commissioner Toma, Commissioner Dennis, and the chief was there with the 3 chiefs, and we had an outside spokesman from Jefferson to give us some guidelines, some things we may be approaching in the future, but that's a continuous improvement and process. So we plan on meeting next month again to continue to work towards what our ultimate goal is, to provide the community our safety from a fire standpoint. That's all I have.
And
Unless you guys have something to add.
The only thing is I just wanted to make sure that Matt, we may be asking you to come to our next meeting.
Sure. Just let me know what time it is.
Yeah, we'll give you about 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes. So at least 10.
and sanitation?
Sanitation committee met. One of the things we had talked about, we were talking about is to do an addendum to our sanitary charges to sort of reintroduce the deduct meter scenario. You know, the deduct meter scenario got totally out of hand. It was originally intended for water filling up new pools or filling up a pool after a liner had to be replaced, because many times that requires tens of thousands of gallons that is not going into the sanitary system. So you'll see on when we start into the votes tonight, that we're going to ask for the ability to go ahead and advertise. We're gonna hold that down.
We're gonna actually pull that motion, but we will be advertising that in short order with the hopes of being
Okay.
able to adopt it, hopefully by next month or the month after.
All right. That's it.
Next is a presentation, Perry Owens from A&H Equipment.
Thanks. Perry Owens from A&H Equipment is here tonight to talk about a replacement closed-circuit TV system for our wastewater collection system. We call that our wastewater camera or sewer camera. It's a key piece of equipment in maintaining our collection system in the community here. You know, it's our eyes into the sewer line. It's the first tool we pull out of the toolbox when we have a backup in a basement or an overflow. We use it on a more proactive basis to find sewer lines that are defective and try to eliminate I&I, infiltration and inflow. Major problem in most every system, and it is here too. It's why we've spent millions of dollars on upgrades, is because of I&I. So it's our key tool in combating and having proper operation of that collection system. The problem is our existing camera system and televising system is over 15 years old, and the expected life of these systems is about 10 years. So we've gone well beyond its design life. We're having significant reliability issues right now. When we worked with manufacturers to look at repairs, we were told that there are problems with supporting the repairs, supporting the software. We felt that repairing our existing would be pretty much throwing good money after bad. So we identified a replacement with A&H, and why this particular camera. It's very reliable, it's proven, and why A&H. It's local. Many of the competitors that we looked at did not have local service. If we have a problem with this camera, it's actually serviced in Zelienople, not out of state, and have to be shipped, and of course that would result in a big delay in a critical piece of equipment. So we've done a lot of business with A&H. They've been a partner of Elizabeth Townships for about 20 years, and that service is why we called Perry. And so with that, Perry on.
Thank you, Tim.
You did such a great job. I don't know if there's any questions. This is for the gentleman. I just wanted to take a little bit of your time. Thank you for letting me speak on behalf of A&H Equipment. Yes, the current system you do have it's 20 years old. The system is an antiquated system. Everybody knows what technology changes all the time. Currently, what we're using today is there's 2 generations above the system that you're currently running. I know, talking to Billy and Dennis, the system that you have now has a lot of repairs it needs done to it. To sit here and give you a number of how much it is to throw at it to get it back up and running, really can't give you that number unless we do a full evaluation of the unit itself. That being said, again, it's 20 years old. I agree with Dennis, you're putting good money after bad. Can we still get parts for it? Yes. It just takes a little bit longer to get them parts in. With the new system, you have them in your packet in front of you. Feel free to read that. It's the newer technology system. It's a RoverX SAP system too. So with that system, there's bigger cable rolls on it. So there's 1,000 foot of cable. Your old system right now has 640 foot of cable on it. So that gives you the ability to go down the line. With 1,000 feet, you can actually do 2 manholes at once, so it's less mobilization. You're spending more time under the ground. The newer system is the platform where EnviroSight is staying on. So we've had some upgrades through the generations. but the platform now is a Rover X system, so that's what they're gonna stay with. Also too, is, what you have in front of you is a mainline system and a lateral launch system as well. The cameras now, today, are high definition. So they're just like your TV as you're watching the football game. So it's better quality for better pictures and better videos. Again, with 1,000 feet of main line, you also have 150 feet to go up a lateral as well to do an inspection on that as well. Everything has a locator built into it, so if you have to locate a lateral or a main, you can locate it above ground and be pretty 95% spot on where it's at. As Dennis mentioned, you know, our biggest thing is our local support. We have technicians that's certified from EnviroSite that works right in our daily local office. Done it in the past, picked stuff up for them, went and got it fixed and brought it back, so it was less time for your guys to be out of town. Trying to think what else I missed there. Yes. We are under the Pennsylvania State Co-Storage program as well as far as the purchase goes. So if we do decide to purchase, we're under that Co-Storage program. Any questions?
It's a ballpark price range, and what type of warranty comes with it?
Standard warranty is 1 year. I think the way we put a proposal together, it's been probably 60 days, so numbers.
Ballpark.
250, 260 for the entire package. That'll be a mainline system, a lateral camera crawler, inside a trailer, which is gonna have a studio and the operator station for the
Dennis, how often do we use a camera per week or per month on average?
We use it quite a bit, we really do.
Okay, I can see them knowing.
One thing I wanted to mention too is you know, as you're saying that, you know, Billy has a root cutter on a jetter truck. So one thing you wanna do, if you're gonna send a root cutter down in there, is you don't know what's down underneath that ground. There's a lot of cross boring, so you have gas lines, water lines that come through. Biggest thing with the camera is being safety first. Throwing the camera in the system to give you that ability to see what's there. And then actually safely operate that root saw.
Yeah, the locator, how is that located? Is that by GPS or is
No,
that
there's-
by, they go over there with a beeper or a metal detector?
Well, there's actually several sondes. You have one sonde that's actually built into the crawler that you activated above ground in the studio. So you'll have it's called a locator, so it's a saw or a wand.
Okay.
That you stand above ground, once you get over top of it, it'll actually let you know it's right there. And then when you shoot the lateral, the sonde is built inside the camera head itself.
What is, the sod is built into?
A sonde, it's called a sonde.
What is that?
That's the locating sonde.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So once you activate that down the ground, it sends the signal up to the locator that you're holding.
All right, okay, I understand.
Yeah. And one thing too I wanted to mention, you know, that since we went to, this last generation, the lateral launch has a belt driven. It's the best in the industry. Everybody will run, steel wheels that pushes against that, push cable. Ours is belts, or rubber, so rubber belts. You'll have a full width of like 3-4 inches of power that's given at it, so it's gonna push that line 150 feet.
The current generation you're on, how long did that come out, when you think the next generation's coming?
Good question. This current system that we're running has probably been out for 7 years in testing. So it's actually been out, in the field in this area, probably for the last 5. So I'd say that this system is probably 12 years in running. That makes sense. And just give you some insight on who's operating these systems. Pittsburgh Water and Sewer, they have 3 of them. Who's the other SAC users? There's Plainville Road Rack Systems, Clarendon Municipal Authority has them. Elkistan has 2 or 3 units. So there's a lot of places out there in town.
Mr. Kent, I'm curious, years as the commissioner walks up, thoughts on this? Because of your background.
I'll check them out tomorrow. I'll go over and see. Their office is right next to my mobile office, so.
Now, excuse me, Dennis, they're gonna have the back road short right there.
This one?
Yes, so what we propose to you is that one and that one. The one, both of them road short. So that's the main line system in your left hand, and then that's the sap crawler and, lateral launch in your right hand.
Are we getting both of them?
Yes, that's what we propose, correct.
They run off the same trailer, just different.
That is correct, yes. So you'll have two cable reels. So you have the main line cable reel, which will operate the crawler, and the functions of the one in your left hand, which is the yellow one, or your green one. And then when you go switch over to the other crawler, the main line goes in the bottom, and then your push and your, other cable goes into, yes. You'll see it as it's pushing through there. One thing I didn't fail to mention, I apologize, is software. I forgot to mention software. So if you have a software report, it's called WinCan. What's generated from WinCan is the operator's gonna put all the observations in, section information, and information that they're gonna pull from the defects that they see down in the ground. Just to let you know, at the end of the day, it's PACP certified. So through the WinCan software, it's actually gonna auto-generate and level, if there's a high defect in there, the levels are from 1 to 5. So it automatically generates that in a format, so.
Chris, part of your answer to how you locate, this also with the proper software can hook up to the ArcGIS system, which the township is using to map the systems. And so that's also important if we were ever have to send information to KLH about a particular main line that could be lined or whatever, so the ArcGIS system identifies that. This is something that our township has long forgotten about, which is preventive maintenance of this collection system. Long forgotten about. We've done nothing but put out fires. And so this type of equipment allows us to move back into that state where we are looking at areas for I&I, for that inflow of the stormwater. We're looking to figure out how to eliminate excess stormwater into our pump stations so that DEP finally leaves us all alone. That's part of this. This is a super important piece of equipment which is used daily, multiple times a day. Billy and Andy and Steve have their equipment with them all the time. Right now, it's really a big nuisance for them. They have to lift this giant box that weighs 200-some pounds in the back of their truck and carry it around with them. Doesn't have a cover on it, so they're hard to do when it's raining. It's really become a difficult process to use the existing camera. Now, on the flip side of that is how to pay for it. 250 grand. That's a problem change. Now, currently, as Mr. Murray mentioned before, we're about to get bids to clean and camera the Happy Hollow line, which is about 4,500 feet. Now, the reason this type of equipment wouldn't be able to handle that is that it's over hill and dale. So we have to put that particular area out for bid for a giant company to come in there, Robinson Pipe Company, or one of these big companies to do that. But remember, there are multiple main lines that contribute to Happy Hollow main line that haven't been looked at for a decade or more. And that's where this equipment would come in, because if we're gonna eliminate the I&I going to the Wiley pump station, every one of those main lines above Happy Hollow has to be looked at for lining or grouting or whatever it would take. Now, the second part, so that in itself saves money because we don't have to put that out for bid and have other companies come in and do that other research for us. The other part of it is that right now, the township requires during the sale of a house that resident have a dye test done. And a dye test is done in order to make sure that none of the downspouts or their grates are hooked up to the sanitary system. And so, right now, we have a private plumber that goes to the house, is given a fee of $150 to do the downspouts. Now, some banks also require that the lateral, the line that connects the house to the main, that the lateral also be cambered. So they have to hire, again, a private plumber to come do that cameraing of the lateral, which can amount to another $200 on that fee. So not unusual for a homeowner, a resident that's gonna sell their property, that they're into $350 to get this done so that they can sell their house. Now, if we brought this in-house, this could really help pay for this equipment in a very quick amount of time. I counted up the number of dye tests that were listed on Veolia's report. There were 22 of them this month, and that's about average. They're usually in that 20 to 25 range every month. Carroll Township has an ordinance that they've used where they're charging $350 for a dye test and a camera, and then that homeowner's given a little stick with the camera with pictures on it. If they find anything wrong, then they make them fix it before they can sell the house. But $350 times 20 a month, $7 grand, times 12 months, see how that can be paid for pretty quickly. So I'm all for it, but I just wanted you guys to have a little bit of knowledge about this.
I apologize, I didn't answer your second part of your question. So with the system, I think it's gonna be on this platform for years to come. The system is totally upgradable software-wise. All you gotta do is plug it into the landline, the Ethernet cable, and it'll find its own IP address, and it'll actually download it up to the newest software, and it'll update the system itself.
Any other questions?
I can just tell you that there's 4 crews every day that go out with 3 or 4 guys on every crew, and I'm guessing they probably have multiple cameras on every truck. And they're low, if you think of the ice cream man coming by, that's what these trucks look like. They're vans. You wouldn't know that it looks like something from Spygate when you open the doors. I mean, they can see everything down every line. So, I mean, it's useful just to see, like you said, the eye and eye to see what the problems are before it happens. So.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you, Dennis.
Public comments next. Nick Handrat. Nick, please state your name and your address.
Yeah, Nick Henry, I live in 531, 551, and 566 Francis Street. And I just want to come down and talk to you about like the sewage down there. When we get a half-inch rain, every manhole down there is overflowing. There's raw sewage, like, not to say it out loud, but there's condoms, pads, diapers, everything floating in people's backyards. I have pictures, videos, and this is about a 6-year project. Nothing's been done. We were told a couple years ago that we're redoing the sewage lines, in 3 years it'll all be clean. We did pump house down, pump house up, it's not been touched, and it's just, every time there's a half-inch rain, here comes the toilet paper, and everything else that comes down this pipe is all through the backyards. And I don't know if anything's been said, done, or anything, but it's like pretty much everything we got left to do now is contact the news about it and say, hey, this has been going on for 10 years that I've been living down there, and nothing's been addressed about it. So,
Nick, can you repeat your address, please?
yeah, I live in 531, 551, and 566.
Street?
Yeah, I live in 3 places down there right now.
What's the name of the street? I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, Frensick.
Spell it, please.
Yeah, Frencik.
Okay. Bill?
I don't know nothing about it.
See, all right, so when was the last time you reported this?
It's been reported a bunch of times
You know the
by
last
multiple
time.
people.
You know the last.
Probably about a year ago, everything's been busy.
Dennis, you familiar with 531, 551, 566 friend?
The one where it dumps the most is out there on Dad's Lane.
How do you spell that?
Dad's Lane is getting taken care of as soon as the pump station's built on it.
But I mean, if there's even something you can do where you just go and just weld the manhole cap or something on, I mean, that's
Every house out there.
foul down there, the amount of stuff that comes out of that pipe. And then like there's one next to me that's leaking, and I'm sure there's a heck of a lot more of them that are down there doing the same thing.
This major project that we have down at Wayne Vista will address this, and unfortunately, if we seal that manhole, it will go right into basements. So it's really
mean, at the time right now, I'm not saying it's not hard to do, but they have those caps where they can extend that up a few feet, and that would actually help. There's water levels that go at a certain level, so if you can keep the water level, if you put a 6-foot cap on it, the water has to come up over that 6 feet to get over it.
The problem with that, it'll take the path of least resistance and it will go into some. We've actually looked at the hydraulics and if we tried to seal that or raise it, it would actually discharge into a basement, so it'd be the worst of 2 evils.
What's the estimated timeframe on that pump station that would fix this?
It's probably, should be up and running sometime, beginning of next year.
Just a little ways away.
Yeah.
And then my other part with that one was just, with like the new rates and sewage heights and all that stuff. I'm just not really understood why in Elizabeth Township, you have to pay for a tap system, even if there's not a building on that property.
You can give up the tap at any time. You can turn that tap back in.
You can turn it back in and cut and cap the line. So there's a value to that tap itself, so that's why when you pay for that,
And
it
it's-
stays with that property, so there is an actual value, a tapping value there. But there is a process if you wanna give your tap up.
Yeah, that's just wondering, it's almost like having a liquor license, I have a
Yeah,
property to
yeah.
have it, so, hey, you want to build a $3 million house over here, I should be able to sell my tap to you for
There's-
$60,000.
No, sorry, that's not how it works.
Like it almost should be, if I have to put the money into it every month, I should be able to sell it at my rate. Or else it should be able to be free to come in and get rid of the tap.
Now, if you would ever go to sell that property, you have your choice, you can pay for that, the monthly fee to keep that tap, or you can give up now with whoever buys that property without
Have to
applying for a
re-tap.
new sewer.
Yeah, $600 a year, it's not really worth it, we tap.
So if you don't
That
want,
people give it up.
yeah, so if you don't want, there is a process if you wanna give the tap up, but again, you have to cut and cap the line and give the tap back. So that way, if somebody else comes in there and then they
Well,
wanna tap it. they
just
have
stop
to-
for a second. I want everybody to understand that if somebody cuts the line, it's not that they're giving up the tap or giving it back to be reused. No, that's not how that works. You're just forfeiting it. That's it. Now, that would require you to dig a hole and cut the tap, cut the line. Township has to inspect it. The only would have to inspect it, and Allegheny County Health Department has to come out and inspect it, make sure that's done properly, and then you can fill the hole back in. I would highly advise against it. A new tap at this point is over $6,000.
Yeah,
So,
and that's, like, one of these taps are like houses that were like torn down and these projects were going on, so it's like, tap right then, so we already have.
remember that taps come from DEP, right?
Yeah.
These are their rules, these aren't our rules. You cannot resell that, it is of no value. It's of no value to anyone. If you forfeit it, you don't have to pay the minimum anymore to the township, but it's not like a liquor license. It's
Yeah.
not like it has that kind of, that's not how it works.
No, but I mean, in general, it's kinda like, if you're gonna pay for it, it should be yours, so, hey, you wanna go to the house, I should be able to sell you my tap, you pay to get this done, and then you can have it.
Yeah, I understand your thought pattern, but you have to accept what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
You forfeit it, you forfeit it, that's
But
it.
it's like even at $48 a month, you shouldn't have to pay the maximum minimum just to have that tap on where there's nothing going in, because what that makes me wanna do is get an RV park, load it in, just dump it in, 'cause, you
That
can't
monthly
process.
minimum goes for debt service of the entire system too, so there's different parts to it, we don't wanna get too down in the weeds on it, but yeah, the way that it works is like that. There is a value to the tap, if you give it up, it's gone, and then that monthly minimum that you pay goes towards overall debt service that was taken out to support the system itself, so it's what your rates are based on.
Yeah.
We're at over 3.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, the main,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Tim Basket. State your name and address, Tim.
My name's Tim Baskin. I live at 219 Circle Drive. I have a commercial piece of property down on Enterprise Street that I talked to you about last week. Same shit going on. It's been going on since 2014, from day when I owned the property, continuing on till yesterday. If you'd like to see photos of Mr. Sanderson sticking his finger, harassing me down at the Dollar General yesterday when I walked out there. I wanted to ignore him, but he continually does it for whatever reason. But that's a different story. It's not gonna end. It's just gonna continue. What I'm actually here about today is zoning violations. Back in 2015, my business being in my house.
Okay.
Okay, I was removed from my house. I was threatened $500 a day, be fined, and that's the rules. You're not allowed to store commercial equipment or operate a business from your house for summer. Since then, we've had multiple tree services move into the area. Y'all know who they are. They're not doing anything about it. One of them's up here on Lincoln Hall. A house that was condemned to be torn down. I moved in there.
The zoning violation has just expired. His time frame for an appeal.
Okay.
Just expired on the 31st.
So he's not the only one, okay, there's another one on the landmark house over on Duncan Station, on Mount Vernon. He's been there before I started doing tree survey, for a long goddamn time. He comes in and out of there every day, pictures of it, you want to see him. Nothing's being done about him either. That's actually his mom's house. Okay? So, you have another one on Pilot High School. We all know who he is. You drive by him every day. That's been going on forever too. These are tree surveys. I was removed from my house. I'm gonna give you a little itemization here of some of the fees that I incurred for this. In a hurry, I had to buy this commercial property down here. And I was subject to variances that I had to pay to change this because somebody zoned that for a strip club and a meth clinic instead of any normal thinking business in the time. Very first thing I had to do, I spent 6 months in front of the zoning board fighting Lawrence Anderson and his wife because they're buddies with Claire Bryce. This stuff is all fact that I know. They shut me down from getting my freaking permits. They shut me down from putting my building up. They shut me down from excavating because her over there was pulling the strings. It shouldn't take you guys 6 to 9 months to get me my damn permits. Whatever Lawrence Anderson did, and it goes on to this day. That's why we have this problem here. The first day I bought that property, that man on a videotape come up here and run my goddamn sign through. No trespassing signs. My lawyer told me to put them up because his clientele was parking on that property and it would alleviate a little bit of the legal business of that.
Hey,
Is that it?
Your 3 minutes is up. Also, just a comment, that was the previous commissioner board. I think this board's looking at here, I think you have to, agree with us, we're really stepping up and looking at things a lot quicker for you.
You know, I'm telling you what, man, I'm losing jobs to these guys.
Yeah.
They're not paying these taxes, 2 sets of taxes, electric, zoning boards, engineering fees. I can go on forever. I'm gonna come to every meeting, and I'll just continue going on with this. It's been going on for years. I mean, literally, I'm losing these
I
jobs.
appreciate you coming in and putting it to our attention. John, can we talk about these at the next code enforcement meeting?
Yeah, there's a turn violation out for one of them.
Perfect, we'll look at the other ones.
Could we also get the list of addresses that, Mr. Vasquez was bringing up and make sure that we just double check those properties?
Yeah.
Tim, if you wanna make sure
It's not like
John
you're
gets those
involved.
addresses,
He knows them addresses,
can
Dan.
you make sure you give them to us again? That way I have them.
I mean, he knows these. Y'all know the addresses.
I do not know the address.
I do not
Could you
either.
provide it to me?
Yeah,
Please.
I
Then
can.
I'll get them to John.
Shoot me the addresses. So we can
Biggest-
take a look at it.
Problem is, that guy on Zips comes out of his house, that ain't even supposed to be there, spews mud down Lincoln Hall, and then the township guys, I seen them up there shoveling that man's mud off of the freaking road multiple times. Come on.
I promise you we'll look into these. Fred Bickerton. Thanks, Tim. Fred, if you can state your name and address.
Yes, I'm Fred Bickerton. I live at 256 Lexington Drive. I have 2 items I'd like to discuss. First, as the recording secretary for Elizabeth Township Sportsman's Association, I would like to thank Chris Toma for assisting us in obtaining the grant from Columbus Energy. The second item I'm here for is to ask your assistance with a service project for Boy Scouts. Every year, the Scouts have a Scouting for Food program where the boys go out and put hang tags. Well, actually, they go out and collect food for the local food banks. Typically, in the past, what we did is we put hang tags on doorknobs on one week, and the following Saturday, the boys would go around and pick up food and take them down to the central food pantry. In the past, we basically did this in the Mount Vernon, Green Oak, and Boston portion of the township. Last year, because we have a little larger cutback, we were able to expand this into Blaine Hill and a portion of the Forward Township. This year, the Scouts would like to try to expand this program a little further in order to get more food for the food bank. And what we come up with is we'd like to put a couple drop stations up in the township where people can come in for the 2 weeks prior to our pickup date and drop food off. So the boys go on the day before our typical pickup, pick that food up to those drop stations and get it to the food pantry. What I'd like to ask the township for is, number one, to use your building here as a drop station for one of our drop stations. And also to advertise this on the township's website.
I 100% agree with that. The way I envision it, Fred, is during, township business hours during that 2-week time frame, to potentially,
Yeah, we were looking at having-
non-perishable items. Is there a specific type of items that you're looking for, or have
basically
a
what
idea? Like
we're asking for is
a list of media?
non-perishable food items, unopened paper products, unopened pet food. And we would be asking people to drop these off like between 8:30 and 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday, the weeks of April 11th and April 18th.
If we could pause that for a minute. Pause this time. Greg, are we open Good Friday here at the township?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So do you think that that would be something that we could do from, April 11th through the 15th is Thursday? On April 11th?
Greg's coming in.
So, do you think they could pick it up the Thursday? Which would
What
be
we have
the
laid out is
Thursday.
basically, one of the drop stations we're using is the Mount Vernon Presbyterian Church, because they have a day school there.
Right.
And they've limited us to Monday through Thursday for those 2 weeks.
Okay, so do you think we
And
could?
we'd like to do the same thing.
Say Monday
Same
through
thing.
Thursday, pick it up Thursday.
It'd be like from 8:30 till 3 p.m.
Yeah, I have no issue.
Absolutely, go, do it.
I think it would be great for our community to be able to get back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing, Fred, if you could just make sure that Greg gives any details that you have.
Yeah, I'll get this information to you, Greg.
And, that way he can use his team to advertise that. That would be.
Yeah, it's a good cause, thank you.
Thank you very much.
They will be right.
I'm not gonna have enough time to talk about what I
State your name and address.
I want to talk about some other stuff right now because of what came up. I want to thank, I don't know who it is, but thank the people that cleaned Route 48 from Boston to Troopies. I mean, I saw cars speeding down here, they go 50, 55 mile an hour, and then people were out there picking that up. I have no clue who it is. I know Joanne and her husband used to do Renzi Road, but I want to thank them. And a big no thank you to the slobs who throw all that stuff up. But anyway, a couple comments that came up. I have drawings, if I could find them, there's more than one line out in front of this building.
Gas line you're talking.
I think there might be a sewer line and a storm drain, but I'm not sure. But there's two, at least two, because I was working with Larry DeVoto about doing an addition, and we had, and someone gave me the drawings for it, and it's right down the middle of the front of the building, because, you know, to the bank over that way. And the other thing I want to ask, and he's still here, on that, and he might be able, the engineer might be able to answer this. When the road 48 was closed by Alpine Village and was down to one lane for like a year or something, they put a 2-foot strip along so trucks and everything could go down that road, you know, because asphalt wasn't wide enough. So they added 2-foot concrete with polymer or something in it. That stuff was indestructible. And I don't know if it works with, patching potholes or whatever. But anyway, the other thing, this is in the middle of what I was going to talk about, but I wanted to talk about this. Maybe the next meeting, I'd like to see a commissioner and another one make a motion and second the motion, and a unanimous vote to revisit Invenergy to come back to, the Elizabeth Township. What happened here recently, about a week or two ago, they announced in Springdale, they're gonna demolish that power plant. That's 5 in this little valley. No replacement power. And what they offered to the township at that time was like $25 million for a whole bunch of stuff in that. And I'd like to see somebody brave enough, make a motion, second the motion, and a unanimous vote. Let's go, let's find Invenergy, come back here and build a plant. Thank you.
Thanks, Hamilton.
Thank you.
Jackie Maricini? You state your name and address.
Okay, Jackie Maricini, 409 Stoner Street. That's in the Green Oak section. I was here on March 7th, so I'm back again for one item I requested the minutes from the October 24th, 18 in regards to the GPS matters. And I was told I'll have them. And I was wondering, is there any update on those minutes? And then I even called. Yes. And I even called. All of the minutes were there, but they are, I'll look again, but I even called you, and you said, okay, do this and that. But that's not what, I don't know. Shoot.
Jackie, are you able to stick around after the meeting, grab this?
Pardon me?
Are you able to stick around after the meeting?
Oh, gosh, yes,
Okay.
yes. And of course, I was just wondering in regards to, from the Muddy Waters Tavern, the decimal readings, are they still the same from?
We were there, I don't recall the date,
Couple of days after the meeting.
yeah, we got slightly different readings, but
Sure.
again, if we can get different readings at different times of the day, we're back on always as well.
Well, they're the ones who are in charge of that. And all I'm asking, and I think it's simple, it's courtesy, we all have to do that. Either put a fence facing my property, which would be very cost effective to keep them on low so I can go outside, or even, I have my windows in the winter and I can't. And
I believe a letter was sent out to them making some suggestions, plus the war fence and some other items.
Yes.
And she has to respond by April 15th.
Well, that sounds good. What does it take? Well, listen, I've taken up enough of your time, but I do want to thank each of you for taking the time to listen.
Thank you for your patience.
And Bill Piper.
Good evening, Bill Piper, 714 Clark Street. When we get to item 18, inquiring minds would like to know where this 10 acres of land is and what its ultimate aim would be.
I promise you we'll do that.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for, public comment. No items up for discussion tonight. Let's go to the resolutions. First resolution is the consent resolution. Number one, motion to adopt resolution 2022-07, requesting Act 152 grant funding from Allegheny County Economic Development for blight remediation. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Kyle Walk, second.
Second.
Rich O'Leary, and discussion. Craig, do you want to give a little background on this?
Yeah, these resolutions are tied to my application for demolition funding from the county. So it's a requirement for the application.
As I remember, this is money that's held back out of fees that are paid when you transfer titles for homes. Is that the same act?
Yep.
Okay.
$15.
This is coming from the county.
Okay, Craig, can you roll call?
Yeah. Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Campus,
Yes.
Commissioner Waltz,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyer.
Yes. Resolution number 2, motion to adopt resolution 2022-08, confirming structures identified for demolition will undergo condemnation proceedings outlined within local ordinances and are in declaration of the property as a public nuisance and as being a hazardous or dangerous condition. Can I get a motion?
So-
Commissioner Tillman, then second by Commissioner Walker. Greg, any additional information on this one?
Yeah, it's linked to the applicant.
Okay, usual roll call vote.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Campus, Commissioner Waltz,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyer.
Yes. We did pull the ordinance for the motion to advertise, an ordinance establishing the use of the deduct meter. I would like to see if Commissioner Campus could just give a little background of what we're looking at, just for the public.
Sure. Well, since we pulled them, and I spoke on that meeting about the Wild West that involved in the township, I went and looked at different, areas, basically mirror us with their sanitary issues. Cranberry, Peters Township, Bridgeville Township, McCandless, all of them had pretty intensive deduct meter, ordinances, structures, how to do things. So, don't tell them, but I pulled them all together and basically made one that I think would work with our township, because we're not all alike, we're pretty close. So, this is basically a draft. I had to try to transcribe my handwriting. So, as a commissioner, we're gonna look over this. And, but basically, it's gonna bring back the deduct meter for commercial, swimming pools, basically mostly for us to be swimming pools, new liners. But the commercial part was one thing that we really want to get going with, because it's a cost to commercial industry to use them. So, and most of them, it's pretty cut and dry. Basically, you have to kind of do everything through the county, plumbing codes, so that everything matches up. If they're filling tanks, if they're using so much water, the piping has to be correct. Then the deduct meter goes in, there has to be backflow devices put in place, so that if they're filling their shampoo vats, that they're making shampoo, it doesn't come back in through the township and go to the house next door, through the water break. So, with that, they ask for drawings, they ask for, basically licensed master plumbers to figure out what's going on. Now, because we have so many in the township, I guess already, that we're kind of merging it into, existing stuff. So, but we wanna know what they're doing, what they're using it for, what kind of meters. So there's still gonna be a kind of an inspection with the county to make sure they're doing it right. And they'll apply it to the township, go through some form filling out, have John or somebody from code and I make sure it is what it is. Then they'll go through the county, they do it every day. The county plumbing is probably the toughest in the country, Allegheny County plumbing. So if they're okay with it and they're good with it, I think we can pretty much be sure that it's safe. So at that point, we'll have some type of stipulation where we'll wrap it, seal it, something, and then that will go to, the next step as far as being able to use it in the field. But at this point, with the fee structure, there's a lot of stuff as far as in-house, what's gonna happen. So once we get that kind of stuff figured out, I think we can go along and get more inspection place.
Do you think we're ready to bring this to a vote next meeting?
Yeah, I think, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, any commissioners, any questions?
And that would need the vote to publicly advertise, correct?
Yeah.
And then, so it'd be a 2-month process.
Yeah, the residential side's pretty cut and dry. It's basically swimming pools. So you come down, get a meter, have a building permit, make sure they're also in code. So that if someone's putting a pool in and they come out for a deduct meter and we say, well, where's your building permit for your pool? Oh, well, I don't have it. Well, guess what? So it's kind of checks and balances with that. But, and then we can kind of, we can create the narrative of what's going on. So, not hard, just a little bit of paperwork, a little bit of structure. So I think definitely within the next meeting, we should have something at least in place.
I appreciate it, thanks. Next is items for consideration, non-expenditure items. Number one is motion to approve the commissioners' meeting minutes dated March 7th, 2022. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, next is expenditure items, roll call votes. Motion to approve the township bill warrant dated April 4th, 2022 in the amount of $584,142.10. Can I get a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Take roll call vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Okay, number two, motion to approve the sanitary bill warrant dated April 4th, 2022 in the amount of $231,530.77. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any comments? We get roll call vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Number three, motion to approve bond requisition number 11 in the amount of $45,121.17. I get a motion?
So moved.
I get a second.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Okay, number four, motion to hire up to 4 part-time public works employees at an hourly rate of $15. Time of employment for these employees will be May 1st of 2022 through September 30th, 2022. Do I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Point of clarification, this is seasonal, is seasonal?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, just for the record, because I believe the CPA refers to as seasonal, so I just want to make that clarification.
I'll change that officially.
My other little comment on that too is that none of these guys are gonna be working through the 30th of September, are they? It's college kids, aren't they?
Yeah, most of them will be gone before then, but in case there's an opportunity. Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Number five, motion to award contract 2022-01 for the Stony Brook Slide Remediation Project to Gregor Contracting at a cost of $63,958. The township will pay for this project with American Rescue Plan Act funds. Like a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I can't wait to see this elevator shaft. It's gonna be amazing.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Number six, motion to commit $100,000 of American Rescue Plan Act funding towards the Jacktown Road Bridge repair. If I get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We talked about this earlier.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Motion to purchase a server for the administrative office from Shiloh Services at a cost of $20,765. The existing server is 7 years old. The township will pay for this with with American Rescue Plan Act funds. If I get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, on this, what is the time frame of it actually being up and running?
I don't know what the availability is. We've had to quote for about a month or two.
So after, say, once we, sign this, what's their, when do they plan on starting? Depends on migration from our old to the.
It depends on the availability of the new server,
Okay.
which I have no idea.
And technology right now, it's hit or miss. I've had one order with police. It was discontinued, we had to switch to another model. It was, about a month's delay, so it changes every other day.
Yes, I believe that. Thank you.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell. Yes. Commissioner Walls,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer.
Yes. Number 8, motion to purchase a large format scanner printer from Ford Office Technologies at a cost of $7,989.50. The township will pay for this item with American Rescue Plan Act funds. If I get a motion.
So,
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I was looking at this is a plotter, right, where you can make the bigger plans. How often do we print those type of documents?
Oh, we could print them daily. I mean, we print them digitally. John will be able to speak to it more, but.
Yeah, the problem we have right now, a lot of the stuff that I receive, we're trying to get away from as much paper submission as possible. The only problem is depending upon the size of what's submitted, I cannot reproduce anything larger than 11 by 17. So as stuff changes, trying to get subdivision, consolidation, sometimes plans and everything out, it makes it hard. And also on the flip side, scanning, I can't scan anything larger than 11 by 17. So if we want to switch more to electronic submission, submit your plans regardless of size electronically. If you have to give us paper, you can give us paper. This will give me the ability to scan it in electronically. It'll attach itself to the permit application in our system, and then I don't need to keep the paper copy anymore. And these will be a lot easier to find. Those older, large format plans, a lot of them are just stored down in the basement in a large pile that if we ever need to find them, it's gonna take some time to.
And we do have to preserve those ones in the basement. There's several hundred.
Are you going to scan those over time, the ones in the basement?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, are they gonna make it available to the public? I use that.
No.
Why not? Charge for it? One of the places, I get prints every couple of weeks. Why not? There's contractors, everybody here, why not?
We haven't discussed
That's
that.
that's what the township's about, to provide public services for people, just like sewage.
Currently, when I need to do something like this, depending on the size, format, the scan or print, I either, if it's not too large, I can go to the UPS store in White Oak. If it's larger, I have to go to the FedEx Kinko's office in West Midland to get it done.
It's not going to be in the public location either, we're going to locate that, it's going to be in the back. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell.
yes.
Commissioner Walls,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer.
Yes. Okay, number 9, motion to purchase a dump-style premix heater from A&H Equipment at a cost of $56,875. The township will pay for this item with American Rescue Plan Act funds.
So moved.
I get a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? We talked about this earlier. Your roll call vote.
Commissioner Walker.
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell. Yes. Commissioner Walls,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer.
Yes. Number 10, motion to approve the contract with Hometown Press to publish, print, and mail a township newsletter twice a year at a cost of $496 per newsletter mailing. The estimated postage per newsletter mailing will be $1,732. I get a motion?
I'll motion that.
Discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to, publicly thank Jessica Grunlin and Greg for their efforts on this, newsletter. I think this is the best option for us. We'll be able to advertise some of our local businesses. They'll be able to advertise it. Plus, we'll be able to get this out to our, our residents in the township, to kind of give them an idea of what's going on with us, something in their hands. And again, I want to thank them for their efforts on content and put that together. Just one question on it. If we do approve it here, did they say when we could actually start rolling with it?
They'll start selling ads right away.
Okay.
And we already have content.
Yes, yeah, we've been reviewing that, thank you.
I think it's an amazing price, 5,000 residents for $500. That's unbelievable.
I have a couple samples of the resume I want to see afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Commissioner Walk,
Yes.
Commissioner Campus.
Yes.
Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri.
Yes.
Commissioner Toma.
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer.
Yes. Number 11, motion to authorize a one-time adjustment credit in the amount of $175.65 for sewage bill ETS 100-63223. Do I get a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? We can vote.
Commissioner Walk.
Yes.
Commissioner Campus.
Yes.
Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri.
Yes.
Commissioner Toma.
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer.
Yes. Number 12, motion to authorize KLH engineer to prepare bid specifications for the 2022 Township Road paving program. I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Get roll call vote.
Commissioner Walk.
Yes.
Commissioner Campus.
Yes.
Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri.
Yes.
Commissioner Toma.
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer.
Yes. Number 13, motion to purchase a used 2018 Ford Interceptor for code enforcement from Kenny Ross Ford at a cost of $18,750. I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Greg, do you want to explain what this vehicle is used for?
Sure, we're currently, I don't even know if you heard it, we currently run a, Ford, 2010 Ford Bronco Explorer. I drive it all the time, I just never noticed. It has about 120-some thousand miles on it, it's disrepair, it's rusted. So I did test drive, my chief and myself went to, Henry for 2 different meetings together. I test drove the vehicle, it's in very good shape, it has about 45,000 miles on it. It was used by Duquesne Police for parking lot and parking garage patrol. So it has very few miles for years. Duquesne University. Duquesne University. Duquesne University. So just on campus.
And what are you gonna do with the 2010?
2010, we're gonna donate to the Public Works Department, if not that.
See that, Paul? Don't say we didn't give you anything. We get roll call votes?
Commissioner Walk.
Yes.
Commissioner Campus. Yes. Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri.
Yes.
Commissioner Toma.
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer.
Yes. Number 14, motion to purchase a 2022 Polaris Ranger Crew off-road vehicle from Cush Customs at a cost of $37,618. The township will pay for this item with American Rescue Plan tax funds. I have a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, a couple things, just real quick. First of all, I wanted to make sure that the public knows that, based off of our actions over this last several months, that we are 100% invested and want to invest in our police and, making sure that they have the equipment necessary. That's obviously by the 3 squad cars that have, been recently purchased, and now this vehicle here for, being able to, provide service along the trail and other remote areas. And I'd just like to make sure that, I know that, Chief Wanick here talked briefly last time about it, but if you could just give an overview of what this vehicle will be used for and how it will be used.
Sure, just one of the areas where we don't have currently or haven't had in the past a good footprint for law enforcement presence is probably one of our largest recreational locations is the trail, 12.75 miles that runs from Boston to Smithville. And a lot of people come, enjoy the trail, pass through on the trail, and they have no idea they're in Elizabeth Township. So when they're down there, coming through a lot of our communities, they'll interact with our our team, and they'll know they're in Elizabeth Township, they'll feel protected in Elizabeth Township. And, you know, since I've been here in September, we've had several remote location rescues where we needed this type of equipment, and a standard police vehicle just has a weight that is just not appropriate to navigate in those locations. Just as examples, medical rescues on golf courses, search and rescue locations on farms. And so just those very few options will allow us to increase our law enforcement footprint to some of our rural locations, which many of you know exist throughout the township, not just in one particular place. But most importantly, increase our law enforcement footprint, starting at the Boston Ball Field, where we have a lot of recreational activity, and going all the way down to Smithdale, where we still have some landlocked issues, and this piece of equipment will allow us to increase our presence there as well.
And Chief, we don't need a trailer, this can be driven on the street, correct?
We specifically look for one that is road rated, and of course, you know, to be in compliance, we'll make sure that it's appropriately marked as such, and it goes up to, in some cases, 60 miles per hour, but it'll safely be able to operate on our streets. It'll be marked appropriately with the appropriate emergency equipment to allow us to go from point A to point B and get into a police vehicle if necessary.
Is this something we should have an AED on?
We will assess what type of medical equipment we need to carry on it. We do have some AEDs, but that's a piece of equipment we have for consideration on board the machine. And currently it'll be not too large, we can actually store it in our current garage overnight.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campus?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Altieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Tillman?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Number 15, motion to reimburse Elizabeth Forward School District sewage charges incurred during a water main break from February 2021 through March 2021 in the amount of $34,862. I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll give an explanation. So, the school district had a large water main break that they were unaware of for 2 months, and over 9 million gallons of water went into the ground. Now, as we all know, we pay our sewage bill based on our water meter, and so they were faced then with a giant sewage bill. And I want to thank Elizabeth Borough Municipal Authority's Board of Directors for agreeing to this refund. So they've already refunded the money back to the township, and now the township is refunding the money back to the school district plus rate.
Thank you, Kyle, for, doing that. for
Yeah,
us.
no, that's true. Believe me.
No, I'm sure that was very, time consuming. Thank you.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campus?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Altieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Tillman?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes. Number 16, motion to purchase security additions and upgrades to municipal administrative building and municipal garage building from Barrier Protection Services, Inc. at a cost not to exceed $18,000. The township will pay for this item with American Rescue Plan Act funds. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Greg, if you just want to give us a little bit of details on this?
Sure. So we have an existing system with barrier protection. It's a fob-based system that is actually all data goes to the police department. Chief and Sergeant Simba, we have access to that data, they're the only ones. So it tells you who enters what building, what time, the time they leave. So we're gonna add to that system a little bit, we're gonna add a, front door entry buzzer system with a camera, and it will have one desktop monitor at the front counter, so we can see who's coming to the building, before they actually enter the lobby space. We're gonna add a fob unit to John Snelson's office, because this is the only one that currently does not have one, and he is required by the state, which department?
The Pennsylvania State Police, to meet the clean requirements, my office has to be kept secure.
At all times, because of the data you can access on his computer. We're gonna fix the door back here with a new, system, and then we're gonna add some cameras over to the municipal garage.
We'll do the roll call vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Campus?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes. Number 17, motion to allow the Elizabeth Women's Club to use building number 3 of the community center from Thursday, April 28th evening through Friday, April 29th, and waive the fee.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
A little bit of discussion. They, twice a year do a huggy sale to raise money for their group. They will, in that one morning, do between 600 and 800 oaks. And a great kitchen over there. They love it. And they'll leave it way cleaner than it is, too. Good group.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes. Number 18, motion to approve a Phase 1 environmental assessment of 10 acres of land adjacent to the Youghiogheny River at a cost not to exceed $5,000. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, Bill, now your explanation. So this has been an ongoing effort to try to remediate the, actually it's alkaline mine drainage coming from Warden Mine. Warden Mine drops the orange water into a culvert that crosses underneath Douglas Run at the bottom of Nichols Hill, goes into Douglas Run, and then flows behind Driscoll's, and then ultimately makes its way into the Youghiogheny River. The way these alkaline mine drainage projects work is you build a series of sediment ponds and then allow the water to go into these ponds. Once the alkaline content of the minerals mixes with air, it's sediments out. And so this is a way that ultimately the water going into the yacht will no longer be orange. It's been worked on several times over the past few years, and the biggest drawback to this is ownership of this land that we're talking about here. Commissioner Camp has put us back on track. He is a college roommate from W&J that's with U.S. Steel. We have had discussions with U.S. Steel again about donating this land. The township cannot take the responsibility of owning this land for fear of what might be in that land. So we're working with Allegheny Land Trust to perhaps then take over possession of this land. But one of the first things that needs to be done is for an environmental study on this land. This is nothing real too deep in the weeds. They just wander around the property. They also do some historical research as to what might have been there over the last 100 years. This is something that's probably going to cost in the neighborhood of $2,500 to $3,000, but it's very necessary to move back into this next phase. Now, this project has been sent out for grant twice. KLH has been kind enough to help tremendously with the grant process. It's been denied twice because of the ownership of the land. You have to own property before you can get a grant. So this is the first step in moving it back to getting this done, guys. And I'm very excited that this actually is going to happen this time.
I think how you had said that Allegheny Land Trust will not even consider taking over unless we order a Phase 1.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's the reason
So
why we need to-
it's a little bit more complicated than that, Dan. They don't have the money to do a small project like this. Now, I know this sounds silly, small project, because it's not small, but what they're ultimately looking to do is, they did a project up north somewhere, I can't remember, Winfield Pines. If you go look at it sometimes, it's pretty neat. 84 acres with a bunch of ponds on it, but they turned it into an amazing ecological area, trail walking, and it's phenomenal. That's what Allegheny Land Trust wants to do. They don't really want to be messing around with one of these little projects because it has ongoing maintenance with it. You know, once the ponds are built, that's one thing, but you have to continue to take care of that. So they're willing to help us, but they're not willing to spend any money. So it's going to be up to the township to foot the bill until we can get this grant stuff straightened out.
Thank you. Roll call vote?
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Toma?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes. Number 19, motion to ratify the vote to donate $200 to the Blainville Fire Department for their Easter egg hunt. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yeah, I want to make one comment also. Back with the committee reports, I forgot to mention, we did create a new committee. It's going to be the comprehensive plan and
General government.
general government. Myself, President Mark Rocco, and Mr. Kyle Walker will be on that committee. So we did pass the comprehensive plan last year, and now we're getting ready to start, getting a group together and start implementing.
I had one quick announcement I forgot to mention in my report. Several months ago, it was brought up about municipal reapportionment. That is supposed to occur in the year following the census, so it should occur technically in 2021, when the census occurs in 2020. Due to some court challenges and other things happening at the state level, that has all been delayed. So I had a conversation with Dave Boyd, who is the head of the Alameda County Elections Department, and we discussed the recent implementation of Act 77 and some of the impacts of that. When push comes to shove, municipal reapportionment is basically on hold until after November of this year. So there will be nothing to do under Act 77 until after November of this year. So we'll revisit that at that time.
I have one question about that. How's that look? Is a committee put together?
Yeah, I talked to Dave a little bit about that, and we'll probably end up putting a committee together and start looking at that, but again, we can't get the numbers from.
Right, and I didn't know how the process.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now it's December, what do we do?
And of course, in my talks with Dave, I'm gonna get a little bit more into it as we get closer, but it's really gonna be a lot